If you want to produce some software, you're going to need an engineering team. But who should be in your team? How big should it be? How much food will they need? Well, let's find out, because this is Software Engineering Explained. Before we get started, please make sure you're subscribed. This will be the first in a series of Who's Who, so hit the notification bell so you don't miss the rest. In the past, development was often split between multiple teams who would do their part and hand off to the next team. You might have a design team, an architecture team, a development team, a test team. Work would be thrown over the wall to the next team along, and they would have to deal with it. Unsurprisingly, the teams at the end would often get something very different from what they were expecting, and the project would get delayed for a good round of finger pointing. This siloed approach has been in decline in the past decade or so as more and more organisations move to cross-functional teams. In a cross-functional team, you expect to see everything you need to deliver a feature in its entirety. As a result, the team have to work together to complete the work. So we need to think about who should be in that team. But first, let's think about how big the team should be. A team that's too small will only be able to do so much. They will only have a limited amount of skills within the team, and there's only so much a small team can do in a day. A team that's too big becomes difficult to manage. Every meeting will become a long and expensive ordeal. You might hear the rule that it should be possible to feed a team with 2 pizzas. And generally that's about right. That will give you somewhere between 6 and 10 people. That's normally big enough to give you the skills you need in the team without making it too big to manage. So, what roles do you need? Now, don't confuse roles with people. If you make a list of all the work you need to do, you would easily end up with a massive team. Instead, you find that most people can do more than one role, so instead, let's think about the broad categories. And there are 3 general categories in any engineering team. They are technical, product, and delivery. The technical team are the people who actually make the software. They are the engineers, testers, technical leads, DevOps, and everything else to make it work. The technical side of the project is hard and time consuming, so in general, the technical team should make up around half the entire team. The product team are the ones who are trying to make sure the end result is actually going to be useful. Here are your product owner, business analysts, designers, researchers. These roles will vary considerably depending on the type of product, but normally you would expect to see about a third of the team working in product. Finally, there's delivery, who are trying to keep things on track. These are the managers, the planners, the coordinators, and the adoption leads. This will probably be the smallest group in the team, but they're also the one that's easiest to get wrong. In a large program, a lot of this work will take place outside the team, so don't expect to find every role within every single team. We'll talk more about the pitfalls of delivery in a future video, but for now, let's say there's going to be one delivery lead in each team. So that's the basic shape of your engineering team. You have some technical, some product, maybe some delivery people, all working together to produce something. Now you're probably wondering, what's it going to cost? Honestly, that really depends on where you are and how senior everyone in your team is. If you're in an expensive country and your team is senior, this could easily cost you around $1 million a year. If you're somewhere a bit less expensive and the team is a bit more balanced between junior and senior skill sets, then it might cost you less, but don't expect it to be cheap. In any country, an engineering team will be one of your most expensive assets. The skills needed are in high demand everywhere, so good people will be at the high end of any local job market. You might think about basing your team in another country to save costs, but wait for our upcoming video on distributed teams before rushing into it. There are some major pitfalls to think about and some hurdles to overcome. If your budget is small, then you may need to reduce the size of the team, but keep the ratios about even. In a 5-person team, you might have 3 technical roles, 2 product roles, and everyone will need to do some delivery. A team like this is going to save you cost, but take longer to produce a product, so you need to balance that cost against speed. And remember, like any project or any investment, you need to be considering the cost of the team compared to what they're expected to produce, and see if it's going to be worthwhile. Now that we know our team size and the basic shape, we can dig into the roles in a bit more detail. Join us next time and we'll be asking what those technical people are actually doing and why they're so confused all the time.